Okay, you'll have to excuse me. I've been having some technical difficulties as I'm recording It appears that my camera is turning off miraculously. So let's hope that this continues to record. Okay, so you can get a sense of Nozdryov, one of the more stubborn characters in the novel, who eventually gives in to Chichikov. And the comedy of Dead Souls, the satire, are these difficult and preposterous interactions between the swindler, the con man, and the greedy Russian gentry. Of course, they don't want to do anything illegal unless it's benefiting them. The tone is it's been hard to pin down, as I've said. I mean, we have a very ironic voice, a third-person narrator who will break into long sort of lyrical flights where he talks about, in a high elevated tone, about Rus is what he calls Russia, is what he calls it, in this sort of patriotic tone, sort of elevating his country in a very nationalistic sense, an idealistic sense. So the theme of nationalism also, but tempered with a very ironic, the irony of it. The novel is a commentary on social class, and so this nationalism, the Russians are, the best in their language and everything, and the narrator is just so effusive about the greatness of the Russian people. These statements by the narrator offset the portrayal of what's going on. The portrayal being pretty much low-down, dirty activities. This guy who is taking advantage of people. Chichikov, the main character, does have a Robin Hood quality, however, which sort of redeems him. We don't really fully enter into a sympathy for the scoundrel main character until later in the novel, which is something I'd like to discuss now. This is why Dead Souls ultimately works. In Part 2, Part 1 is a sort of picaresque depiction. Picaresque being one event after another in a sort of journey, these adventures along the way. Okay, that is Part 1. Part 2, I would say Part 2 is what makes Dead Souls a great novel. And a lot of people don't think Part 2 is as good as Part 1. But what makes this novel work, and what makes it literature ultimately, is the sympathy we come to have for the main character himself, Chichikov, who is not a particularly likable character. All he does throughout the novel is cheat people out of their money, and he is taking the easy way. He's getting rich quick. So